At 71, John Travolta occupies a rare space in Hollywood, one shaped by enormous success, deep personal loss, and decades spent under constant observation. His life has unfolded in front of cameras, yet much of his inner world has remained deliberately guarded. Unlike many stars, Travolta never relied on controversy to stay visible. Instead, he chose silence, reflection, and steady work, even when public curiosity intensified. Over the years, audiences have projected their own assumptions onto him, often confusing privacy for secrecy. But Travolta's journey has never been about hiding the truth. It has been about surviving fame without allowing it to consume his identity. As conversations around belief systems, grief, and personal boundaries have grown louder, Travolta's calm restraint has stood in contrast. His story is not one of exposure or confession, but of learning when to speak, when to step back, and how to live meaningfully beyond public expectations. A search for balance in a demanding industry. In the mid-1970s, as John Travolta's career accelerated rapidly, he found himself navigating pressures few young actors are prepared for. Fame arrived quickly, expectations multiplied, and the demands of Hollywood rarely slowed. Like many artists seeking emotional balance during turbulent periods, Travolta explored philosophical and spiritual ideas that promised clarity and self-understanding. He has openly stated over the years that personal development mattered deeply to him, especially as his public life expanded faster than his private one. For Travolta, belief was never about image or control, but about finding grounding amid chaos. He approached these ideas thoughtfully, emphasizing personal responsibility and self-awareness rather than public debate. While discussions around belief systems can become polarized, Travolta consistently avoided sensationalism. He chose introspection over argument, demonstrating a pattern that would define much of his life, seeking internal steadiness rather than external validation. Navigating belief without performing it. Throughout his career, John Travolta rarely framed his personal beliefs as something for public consumption. He understood that Hollywood often turns private convictions into spectacle, and he resisted that transformation. Instead of offering dramatic statements or confrontational interviews, he maintained a respectful distance between his work and his worldview. When asked directly, he spoke calmly, without evangelizing or defensiveness. His approach reflected maturity rather than avoidance. Travolta has often emphasized that belief, for him, was a personal tool for self-reflection, not a public identity badge. That distinction mattered. In an industry where personal choices are frequently exaggerated or simplified, his refusal to engage in loud explanations helped preserve his sense of autonomy. Over time, this quiet consistency became part of his character. He showed that it was possible to hold personal convictions while allowing others the freedom to disagree, without turning belief into controversy. Personal loss that reshaped everything. While public narratives often focus on careers, the most defining chapters of Travolta's life unfolded privately. In 2009, he experienced devastating loss with the death of his son, an event that fundamentally altered his understanding of grief and responsibility. Years later, the passing of his wife brought another profound shift. These moments did not push him toward public explanation or dramatic retreat. Instead, they drew him inward. He focused on parenting, healing, and stability. Fame, once central, became secondary. Interviews became fewer. Appearances became selective. Travolta did not disappear, but he changed. Grief stripped away any remaining attachment to public approval. What remained was commitment to family and emotional presence. This period revealed a side of him rarely discussed, not the performer, but the protector. Loss taught him that survival was not about resilience alone, but about choosing what deserved his energy moving forward. Rumors, headlines, and the cost of visibility. Few actors experience decades of fame without becoming subjects of rumor, and John Travolta was no exception. Over the years, speculation occasionally overshadowed his work, fueled by tabloids and internet commentary. Travolta addressed such moments with restraint, choosing clarity without escalation. He consistently denied false claims while refusing to let speculation define his identity. That choice carried consequences. Silence often invites interpretation, yet Travolta preferred dignity over defense. He understood that responding endlessly would only grant rumors more power. Instead, he relied on time and consistency to speak for him. His long-standing professional relationships, continued work, and personal conduct became quiet counters to public noise. In an era driven by instant reactions, his approach felt almost radical. He demonstrated that maintaining self-respect sometimes requires allowing storms to pass without entering them, trusting that truth survives without performance. The artist who never stopped working. Despite public perception of retreats and comebacks, John Travolta never truly stopped working. He adapted. When blockbuster roles slowed, he explored character-driven films, independent projects, and unexpected performances. His return in Pulp Fiction was not desperation, but readiness. He approached roles differently after hardship, bringing restraint, humor, and vulnerability. This evolution continued into later projects, where he prioritized storytelling over status. Travolta's career reflects an artist willing to be reshaped by experience. He did not chase relevance. He allowed it to find him again through authenticity. That distinction preserved his longevity. Instead of competing with younger stars, he focused on depth. Audiences noticed. Over time, his work became less about spectacle and more about presence. He shifted from being a symbol of an era to a storyteller shaped by it. Fatherhood as his true center. If there is one role John Travolta has treated as non-negotiable, it is fatherhood. After loss redefined his priorities, he centered his life around raising his children with care, patience, and protection. He supported their interests quietly, avoiding unnecessary exposure while encouraging confidence and creativity. Travolta did not use his children as extensions of his public image. Instead, he shielded them from it. His social media presence reflects warmth rather than promotion, offering glimpses of shared moments rather than curated narratives. Fatherhood grounded him in routine and responsibility. It gave his life structure beyond career ambition. Friends have often noted that he became more present, more intentional. In choosing his children over constant visibility, Travolta demonstrated a version of success rarely celebrated in Hollywood, one defined by presence rather than applause. Finding freedom beyond the screen. Outside acting, aviation became one of Travolta's deepest sources of peace. Flying offered something Hollywood never could: silence, focus, and control. In the cockpit, he was not a star or symbol. He was simply a pilot, responsible for the moment at hand. Aviation required discipline and awareness, qualities that mirrored his approach to life after fame. It became both a passion and a refuge. He often described flying as grounding, a way to reset emotionally. This pursuit reflected a broader pattern in his life, finding fulfillment beyond external validation. Whether through flying, family, or reflection, Travolta consistently built spaces where he could exist without expectation. These spaces allowed him to remain whole in an industry that often fragments identity. Choosing presence over performance. In recent years, John Travolta's life has settled into a rhythm defined by choice rather than obligation. He takes projects that interest him, supports causes quietly, and prioritizes health and mindfulness. He no longer measures success by visibility or headlines. Instead, he values balance. This shift did not come from burnout, but from clarity. Experience taught him that meaning does not require constant output. Sometimes, it requires stillness. Travolta's ability to step back without bitterness reflects acceptance rather than retreat. He has lived many lives within one career, each demanding adaptation. Now, he allows life to unfold without force. That decision, understated yet powerful, may be his most meaningful reinvention. A legacy built on endurance, not noise. John Travolta's legacy cannot be reduced to controversy, belief, or fame alone. It is the story of endurance, of surviving public adoration, professional doubt, personal tragedy, and relentless attention without losing humanity. He danced through cultural history, fell out of favor, returned with humility, and ultimately chose a quieter form of fulfillment. His journey reminds us that legends are not defined by uninterrupted success, but by how they respond to change. Travolta never demanded to be understood. He simply continued living with intention. And in doing so, he offered something rare, a portrait of a man who learned when to shine, when to step back, and how to remain himself through it all.